I truly thought this was a passing fad. What do you guys mean you're still drinking raw milk?
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, I'm Amanda. I'm professionally curious and I talk for a living, and you're watching Swell Entertainment, the channel where I tell you about whatever I'm obsessed with every week. And unfortunately, we are talking about raw milk. Another video I thought I wouldn't have to make. I thought this would be over and done with, dusted. But no, I shouldn't be shocked, actually, because, you know, the Secretary of Health is like pro raw milk, which we have an article to pull from. We have videos to pull from as well. There was a big thing in the raw milk space that crossed over into some of the TikTok content that I see because it involves ballerina farms. Ballerina farms is a farm that is a pretty big operation, but they are operating on social media, at least under the guise of being like a family farm type of thing. Online, at the very least, the face of it is Hannah Nealman, and she was a ballerina, hence Ballerina Farms. And it's ran by her and her husband. She has recently had to come online and talk about it because they were selling raw milk. This is from People. Hannah Nealman's Ballerina Farm halts sale of raw milk due to bacteria concerns, report. This is by Zoe Little, and it was published earlier this month. Hannah and Daniel Nealman's Ballerina Farm has reportedly paused its sale of raw milk following health concerns discovered this past summer. In recent years, the influencer couple has built a business around their viral content shared to millions of followers across social channels. The Ballerina Farm brand, which is named for Hannah's past pursuit as a Juilliard-trained dancer, sells frozen meat products, pantry products, kitchenware, and more goods related to baking and cooking. The company originally sold its products exclusively online, but last year they opened up 2 brick-and-mortar stores in Utah, a farm stand in Camas, and the flagship store in Midway. According to the Ballerina Farm website, the former location is near the Nealman's Dairy. According to the report by KPCW, health inspectors found 2 violations following routine milk testing conducted in late May and early June. The local Utah outlet cited Utah Department of Agriculture and Food records, which reportedly showed that the screening showed high levels of coliform, which is the family of bacteria that includes E. coli in the Ballerina Farm's raw milk. So what is raw milk? Okay. Because when you go to the store and you buy a thing of milk, you might notice that says pasteurized on it. And pasteurizing milk got a rebrand recently. It really just means that it is heated to a temperature to kill off bacteria. That's what pasteurization is. They heat up the milk, and then it cools it down, and then you drink the milk, and it burns off the bacteria that can come from the cow. Now, I avoid this by just drinking almond milk. Like a loser. No, I'm kidding. I still eat cheese and stuff, so I can't really say that. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm just making a joke. I love my unsweetened almond milk. Leave me alone. But pasteurized milk is not a scary word. And yet, I'm literally, hold on. According to Wikipedia, pasteurization is a process of food preservation in which packaged foods, milk, and fruit juices are treated with mild heat, usually less than 100 Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit, to eliminate pathogens and extend shelf life. That's it. That's all it is. And it's even funnier when I see the raw milk warriors on TikTok talking about how they make it easier to drink by heating it on the stove first, because they have convinced themselves that pasteurization does scary things to the milk. I'm trying so hard to be patient and understanding, but I really don't know how else to do things other than I want to shake people, okay? I really do. I want to shake people, because the thing is here is pasteurization is not a scary thing, but you see they've made it a scary thing. The crazy thing is that people are drinking raw milk and they are also giving it to their children, or they're drinking it while they are pregnant, and children have died from this. This is from the USDA. This is an official website for the United States government. Now, I know that currently that doesn't mean a whole lot. Okay, our current health secretary loves raw milk, allegedly. We have an article, like I said, there's an article to pull up, but I wanted to pull this up for you. The dangers of raw milk. Unpasteurized milk can pose a serious health risk. This is from 2024. Milk and milk products provide a wealth of nutrition benefits, but raw milk, unpasteurized milk, can harbor dangerous germs that can pose serious health risks to you and your family. According to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, from 1998 through 2018, there were 202 outbreaks linked to drinking raw milk. These outbreaks caused 2,645 illnesses and 228 hospitalizations. CDC points out that most foodborne illnesses are not a part of our recognized outbreaks, and for every illness reported, many others occur. Raw milk is milk from cows, sheep, and goats, or any other animal that has not been pasteurized to kill harmful germs. Raw milk can carry dangerous germs such as Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, Campylobacter, and others that cause foodborne illnesses, often called food poisoning. These germs can seriously injure the health of anyone who drinks raw milk or eats products made from raw milk. However, the germs in raw milk can be especially dangerous to people with weakened immune systems, such as transplant patients and individuals with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and diabetes, children, older adults, and pregnant women. In fact, CDC finds that foodborne illness with raw milk especially affects children and teenagers. Don't give your kids raw milk. My God. I did see something recently being spoken about, I believe, on the radio, so I can't pull this directly. And I have not been able to find sources. However, there are some speculation as to why farmers, who are more likely to drink unpasteurized milk, okay, apparently, they don't get sick, but then city folk get sick, okay? And it could be, supposedly, that because they are on the farm and they are around these animals and they are more exposed in smaller doses to the bacteria from working on these animals with the milk, etc. And before pasteurization occurs, that they are building up an immune system to that. So then when they do potentially get something from the unpasteurized milk, it doesn't affect them the same way that someone with the immune system of someone that lives in the city, how it will affect them, because they have, smog allergy, tolerance built up. They don't have low levels of E. coli being pumped into their bloodstream every time they, take a whiff at their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, there could be that. Not science-backed. That's just a speculation that I heard that I'm like, that makes sense to me. Symptoms of foodborne illness usually include vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. I don't recommend any of that. It's not pleasant. Flu-like symptoms such as fever, headache, and body ache. While most healthy people recover from an illness caused by harmful germs in raw milk, or in foods made with raw milk, within a short time, some can develop symptoms that are chronic, severe, or even life-threatening. If you or someone you know becomes ill after consuming raw milk or products made from raw milk, or if you are pregnant and think you may have consumed contaminated raw milk or cheese, see a healthcare professional immediately. Raw milk and pasteurization, debunking milk myths. I'm just picturing a band called Milk Myths, by the way, and it's like really hot, breasty older women. Do you get my point? Do you see it? Can you picture it? Like a heavy metal band like that? Milk Myths. Pasteurization. Sorry. Pasteurizing milk does not cause lactose intolerance and allergic reactions. Both raw milk and pasteurized milk can cause allergic reactions in people sensitive to milk proteins. Raw milk does not kill dangerous pathogens by itself. Raw milk marketed for pets and animals is not safe for people to drink. There was a photo recently of someone, God, was it on Twitter? Let me see if I can find it. And it was like someone showing off their grocery haul from the food market. There were these giant jugs of raw milk, and on the side, it just said not for human consumption. And he was talking about how that was their poll. This is from someone on Twitter. Raw milk in a glass mason jar, pure raw local honey in the same. Uncle RFK Jr. would be so proud. Grass-fed raw cow milk from 13 Acre Farm. It says pet's treat, not for human consumption. Hermes is probably more immune to raw milk than me. When I was scrolling for stuff, I got recommended Raw Farm. Raw Farm whole raw milk is unprocessed and complete with bioavailable vitamins, minerals, enzymes, beneficial bacteria, naturally occurring CLA, and omega-3 fatty acids. Absolutely no antibiotics, synthetic hormones, or GMOs, anything. Customers thrive when they consume this delicious, nutritious, natural, unaltered, and wholesome product. If you cannot get the tone of this video from me being very clear, do not drink raw milk. This video is not in any way an endorsement of raw milk, not even for the sake of scientific experimentation and testing for yourself. Please be smart. I expect you all to be smarter. Okay, I also found this realmilk.com because there are some people that think that raw milk is real milk and pasteurizing milk makes it fake. A campaign for real milk, a project of the Weston A. Price Foundation. And there's a website for raw milk finders. Keep the raw milk flowing. Donate now. Get updated on raw milk. Planned shutdown of raw milk farmers. FDA is urging states to stop the sale of raw milk, claiming risk from bird flu. I don't know if you guys remember last year, there was a lot of talk of bird flu. Bird flu and raw milk. Sally Fallon Morrell reveals the lies underlying the latest attack on raw milk. RFK Jr. says he only drinks raw milk. See, the thing with RFK Jr. supporters, I don't know how you hear him talk and you're not like, wow, this man sounds deeply unwell. I don't get it, truly. Like, you're like, wow, man is the peak of health when you hear him speak. And the way that he looks, it doesn't compute to me. Oh, wow, they have a death from milk counter. And they claim there is 73 pasteurized milk deaths and 0 raw. Raw milk is safe. Raw milk is healthy. Do we have stats here? You can't just say 73 deaths. Where is that from? Raw milk baby formula, which is what we just said is bad. Okay, so I found r/moderately granola bombs. Bunch of people talking about raw milk. And I will say the entire thread is like, is pasteurization not just heating and cooling milk? Why are we acting like it's doing something? This is from News 6 by Anthony Talcott on February 13th. Lawsuit thrown out after Florida mom says raw milk led to dead baby during pregnancy. Surely there's a better way to phrase this article. New filing shows Rachel Maddox voluntarily dismissed the case after farm filed motion. Seminole County, Florida. After a woman took a Central Florida dairy farm to court last year due to losing her baby, the case has now been dismissed, according to court records obtained by News 6. In the lawsuit, the mother, identified as Rachel Maddox of Seminole County, said that she had purchased raw milk from a store in Longwood back in June 2025 while she was still pregnant. The milk itself stemmed from Kaylee Farms Dairy in New Smyrna Beach. She inquired about the raw milk's label, which said something to the effect of for consumption by animals, and was told that was a technical requirement to sell farm milk. The lawsuit reads, she did not question further. However, the lawsuit further states that she and her husband gave the raw milk to their toddler, who began experiencing diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and more. He was soon hospitalized due to his condition. I contracted the bacteria from cleaning up the diarrhea and vomiting, Maddox told News 6 last year. As a mom, you get a lot of stuff on you when your kid is sick, and I became ill by contracting the bacteria that way. Soon after, Maddox's fetus died, and she was diagnosed with sepsis, court records show. I became very ill, and I mean the sickest I've ever been in my life. I came really close to dying, and our unborn son did die. The doctors told me that I was lucky to be alive. While investigating the case, News 6 discovered that Kaylee Farms Dairy had been tied to at least 21 cases of E. coli and Campylobacter sickness from raw milk. 6 of the 21 patients were children under the age of 10. 7 patients were hospitalized, and at least 2 cases resulted in severe complications, state officials warned. But in an update on Thursday, the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund said that the state had issued the warning without conducting a full investigation or even issuing a formal notice of violation against the farm. In the original lawsuit, Maddox accused the dairy farm of negligence and liability for what happened. However, new court records this week showed that Kaylee Farms filed a motion to dismiss, arguing that the complaint doesn't identify any facts showing contamination or describe any root cause investigation of illness. The farm also notes that the labeling complied with the Florida Department of Agriculture requirements, including notices that certain milk products were not intended for human consumption. On Friday afternoon, Maddox voluntarily dismissed the case in the new court filing. I'll link this article below because this does show the original court filing as well if you would like to see it. Obviously, in this instance, she was made aware of the I hate this obviously because a baby that they were excited for passed and their child became very sick, as did she. So there's that case. This is from motherjones.com. RFK Jr. was raw milk's biggest fan. Now he won't return industry calls. Mark McAfee owns America's largest raw milk dairy. He thought he'd be advising the Trump administration what happened. This is from Anna Merlin. In May 2025, Robert F. Kennedy sat in the White House and downed a shot of raw milk to celebrate the publications of the Maha Report, a document full of AI slop and fake citations that was meant to present the Secretary of Health and Human Services solutions for chronic diseases and other ailments plaguing America. Kennedy had been a loud proponent of raw milk for years, promising in October 2024 tweet that under his tenure at the FDA, a key milk regulator would stop suppressing the drink. According to Mark McAfee, the founder and CEO of Raw Farm, that's the one that I mentioned earlier, Kennedy is a longtime customer, but less than a year on from the White House event, he complains that the HHS secretary won't return his calls or texts. I emailed him, texted him, contacted the people who knew him, including Nicole Shanahan, McAfee told me last week, referencing Kennedy's former running mate who visited Raw Farm during their 2024 campaign. Nobody could get a hold of him, and there was no response. He also didn't respond to comment for this article. For all the drastic and often disastrous things Kennedy has done as HHS secretary, unilaterally overhauling the childhood vaccine schedule, personally overseeing the placement of false anti-vaccine rhetoric on the CDC's website, refashioning the food pyramid after the typical diet of traditionally masculinity-obsessed podcasters, he has thus far taken no action to advance raw milk. Instead, the Trump administration has trumpeted their emphasis on whole milk as a bold change, posting endless weird memes on the subject. But raw milk, or milk which has not been pasteurized, is simply not the same as full fat whole, and its proponents have been left angry and disappointed. Kennedy was confirmed in February 2025. By June, NBC News was already reporting that raw milk advocates were confused that he had not actively taken up their cause. I'll link this article down below as well. It goes on for quite a long time about some of the statements and things like that. This is an article from earlier this month. New Mexico warns against consuming raw milk after newborn dies from listeria. While the New Mexico Department of Health said it can't pinpoint the baby's exact cause of death, officials believe it could have been linked to the mother's drinking raw milk during pregnancy. This is by Rebecca Cohen and Susie Kim from February 3rd. Health officials in New Mexico are warning against consuming raw dairy products after a newborn baby in the state died from a listeria infection that they say was likely contracted when the baby's mother drank raw milk during pregnancy. I don't know. I've only, most of the people in my life that were pregnant were when I was younger, and I've most of my friends now in adulthood that are thinking of getting pregnant. They're already like getting prepared for, why are we drinking raw milk when pregnancy? But I mean, people do drink alcohol when they're pregnant, So it's like, I don't know. I guess you can't convince people they're wrong when they've decided they're right. And that's just the summary of this video, I guess. I don't know. The New Mexico Department of Health in a new release said that officials believe the mother consumed unpasteurized milk while pregnant, which could have led to the listeria infection. Officials cannot pinpoint the exact source of the listeria that led to the baby's death, the release said, but it noted the tragic death underscores the serious risk raw dairy poses to pregnant women, young children, elderly New Mexicans, and anyone with a weakened immune system. Dr. Chad Smelser, deputy state epidemiologist of the New Mexican Department of Health, said in the release that pregnant women should always only consume pasteurized milk in order to prevent illness and deaths in newborns. Pasteurization is a process in which raw milk is heated to kill germs. Listeria is one of the many disease-causing germs that can appear in milk that has not been pasteurized. The bacteria is in unpasteurized milk, can cause miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm birth, or fatal infection in newborns, and can cause serious infections and death in those with compromised immune systems, according to the health department. People who drink raw milk can be exposed to pathogens including bird flu, brucella, tuberculosis, salmonella, Campylobacter, Cryptosporidium, and E. coli, the health department release said. I'm doing my best with some of these pronunciations, bear with me. Federal health officials have long warned against drinking raw milk because of the health risks, and sales of raw milk across states have been banned since 1987, which is why they have to put the not for human consumption on there. And yet y'all keep doing it. I'm just gonna search raw milk into TikTok. I'm so sorry. The way that it's chunky when she's pouring it out of the jar does me in every single fucking time. I'm so sorry.
Raw milk is safe like 99% of the time. Why do you hate on it so much? Well, 99% of the time, this guy wasn't eating people. So let's talk about that other 1%. For starters, a CDC report tracking data over a 5-year period found that raw milk caused 45 times more hospitalizations and over 800 times more illnesses compared to pasteurized milk at the store.
Raw milk, and it shows not for human consumption on the side. Like, it really is baffling. I don't know what to tell you here. Like, I just, please don't. Like, I truly thought that this would be a passing fad and we would have gotten over this. Like, enough people have gotten sick. I believe it was last year multiple children got. Do you want your kids to be sick? Like, I really don't understand. Like, when you hear about kids getting sick or a baby dying of a possible listeria infection, and I'm saying possible because, again, it's not confirmed, do you not think, oh my God, I need to protect my children and not give them this? Like, is that not I'm not even a mother and that's my first thought. Oh, I need to protect the child from this. Or are you just that delusional where you're like, they're going to get my vitamins? And again, pasteurization is not making the milk fake. What are we doing? Please don't drink raw milk. You and us here. It's you and me. It would be so hot if you drank pasteurized milk. You know what I'm saying? I don't even drink milk, but like, you get my point. Don't drink raw milk. You're so sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like, please don't. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't tell me if you drink raw milk. Don't tell me. I'm sure the raw milk warriors will be in the comment sections of this one, or I'll end up on a forum. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder, the Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to check out Girly Pop Go if you'd like to see more car and motorsport content. Shout out to my channel members. If you also explore me on channel memberships, you can join down below. If you love to social media, that'll be all up here. And that's going to have a lovely day. Goodbye. Like, I got norovirus at the end of 2024, and that was horrible. Truly awful. Maybe one of the sickest I've ever been in my life, okay? And you guys want E. coli? Like, what are we talking about?